Welcome to Trailblazers. I'm your host, Melody Bradford. Tonight on Trailblazers, we welcome a leader at the center of one of Pennsylvania's most compelling urban transformations. Matt Tuerk is not your traditional politician. After becoming the 43rd mayor and the first Latino mayor in the history of Allentown, he spent years helping drive economic development across the Lehigh Valley, attracting investment, supporting entrepreneurs, building partnerships, and helping position the region for long-term growth. Since taking office in 2022, Mayor Tuerk has led during a critical chapter for the city, balancing revitalization, public safety, housing pressures, infrastructure, economic opportunity, neighborhood investment, and quality of life in one of Pennsylvania's fastest evolving cities. Under his leadership, Allentown has continued to emerge as a city defined not by its past challenges, but by its momentum, diversity, resilience, and opportunity. Mayor Matt Tuerk, welcome to Trailblazers.
I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Boy, that's a lot. I mean, wow.
I don't know who writes these intros.
Me neither. No. You've lived and traveled all over the world before eventually planting roots in the Lehigh Valley. Take us back to the beginning, where you're from originally, and what ultimately drew you from your family to Allentown, you and your family to Allentown.
Well, so that's where I'm from originally is Eastern Pennsylvania. I was born in East Stroudsburg, and that's what drew me back to Allentown years and years later. I left Pennsylvania when I was a kid. I was like 9 years old, and like as soon as I set foot in my new home in Colorado, I was bound and determined to get back to Pennsylvania as soon as possible. I made it my mission. And as soon as I graduated from high school, I was right back to Eastern Pennsylvania. I moved to Philadelphia. Eventually left for love. I went to Washington to be with the woman that I'm now married to, Karen. And when it was time to start a family, Karen was pregnant. We looked back to my roots, to Eastern Pennsylvania. My grandparents were still living at the time. I wanted my kids to get to know their great-grandparents. And so I had a job in Eastern Pennsylvania. The best place that I could think of to live was here in Allentown. To be totally honest, the intent was not that we'd stay here forever. We moved to Allentown. We thought, as the kids got older, we might end up in Philadelphia, but we totally fell in love with the city. My kids are born and raised in Allentown and are like super proud to be Allentonians. So I cannot see us ever leaving at this point.
Well, that's good because we love you being here. Long before becoming mayor, you spent years in economic development, both at AEDC, which is Allentown Economic Development Corporation, and LVEDC, which is Lehigh Valley Economic Development Corporation, helping attract investment and jobs to the region. How did that experience prepare you for the role that you're in today?
So I think what I learned from those years was just how to love the city. How to love Allentown, how to love the Lehigh Valley, and how to transform my love of a place into a story that could compel other people to explore it as well. So what I do now as mayor is I get to know all the kind of nooks and crannies of Allentown. I find the unexplored pieces. I listen to people who are telling me their stories, and then I can turn around and tell that story to a broader audience, which helps attract additional investment to our region and specifically to the city. But at the core of it, it's not just about like figuring out what you like about the place and turning it into your story that brings other people around. It's just seeing the place, seeing the true beauty of a place like Allentown. And that ends up being our people, our institutions, our architecture, like the understanding what matters in a place like Allentown, seeing people for who they are. That's helped me a lot in my current role as mayor.
And Allentown has undergone a remarkable transformation over the last decade plus. Ever since 2022, you've done a remarkable job as well. From your perspective, What has changed most about the city, and what are people outside the region still getting perhaps wrong about Allentown today, do you think?
Well, I think, you and I were talking about this before we started recording, but I don't know if it's so much outside the region. I think it's more inside the region that is kind of getting Allentown wrong. More, when I started working at the Allentown Economic Development Corporation in 2008, it was a tough time. It was, we were just getting started in a global financial crisis that had massive impact on Allentown, Pennsylvania, actually, United States and across the world. It was a shift. The response that local leaders had was to scramble and to try to make best out of the situation as it was. Allentown made a real investment. There's a recognition that if our downtown area couldn't compete, that would be very challenged to have like economic viability into the future. So there's a strong and heavy investment into the downtown. I think that's one of the things that the region doesn't quite get right about Allentown right now, is that people who've never been to Hamilton Street have like really dumb opinions about Hamilton Street. I think if you've been to Hamilton Street, you can see that it's completely
vibrancy.
There's like a real vibrancy there. So that's a thing that like I think a lot of people in Allentown generally accept, is that Allentown and Hamilton Street in particular has really like undergone a vibe shift. But that's the bigger piece there, is that underlying this significant physical investment in buildings and in infrastructure, there's also been a really transformational shift in the people who are in Allentown. We are, I tell this story all the time that in 1970, Allentown was a very different city demographically than it is now. It was basically homogenous, 98.2% white in 1970. Today, Allentown is majority Latino city. I'm its first Latino mayor. It just sounds different. It feels different when you're talking to the people in the city of Allentown. There's still the core kind of grittiness and character of the city, but it's very much different. And I think one of the most significant changes that maybe people lose sight of because they focus on the fact that we're a majority Latino city now and there's a lot of Spanish being spoken, is that over the past 10 years, we've seen pretty much more than 50%. Most of the people who live in Allentown right now have lived here for less than 10 years when you look at the census data. That means that the Allentown that you think you know from 1980 or from 1995, that Allentown is very different.
Evolved and grew up.
It changed a lot. And there's some things that we've lost, but there's a lot that we've gained as well. And I think that if people come into Allentown with an acceptance for the new city, they can really enjoy it.
Like you said, there's a lot of diversity there, and there's also a lot of recreation there with the PPL Center and, the restaurant scene and things of that nature. But I also feel like Allentown's one of those, like, from the region perspective, I feel like it's almost like the financial hub of the area. And so in that way, it kind of grew up from a business perspective, with the attraction of who's there as well.
Yeah.
But Allentown has historically faced some major challenges: economic decline, aging infrastructure. We talked about that, poverty, public safety concerns, and educational inequities. What do you believe are the biggest headwinds the city is still working to overcome? And talk to me a little bit about some of the triumphs, because I know the Allentown School District is, Dr. Burks is over there, fighting the good fight. There's a lot of really wonderful things happening. Talk to me a little bit about that.
That's the thing, is that the fundamentals are super solid. So a month ago, we were able to announce our third upgrade in our credit rating. So the ratings agencies are looking at debt issued by the city of Allentown, and they're saying it's backed by it has a strong financial backing, right? So that means our property taxes the property values are increasing, and wages are increasing, employment is increasing, the investment in the all of this stuff is happening, right? The triumphs go beyond like the PPL Center and this vibrant downtown. You talked about the kind of financial center, but it's also an entrepreneurial center. So all of the new arrivals have come with new businesses. Like there's a very entrepreneurial, they're not big giant businesses, but everybody's kind of got something going on. So people are active and doing stuff. The other when you look at the triumphs, we have reduced violent crime in the city of Allentown to its lowest level in decades, like just unprecedented. So there's a lot that is going really well. We have a good group of business owners and investors and developers in the city. We've got phenomenal institutions who are all committed to Allentown's success. The biggest headwind we face is the same things that you see nationally, where housing is, the more people that want to be here, and the higher prices are going to be for housing. So like just people want to be in Allentown. If you're not building fast enough, and we, like every other city in America, struggle to build fast enough, housing prices go up. We're not letting our foot off the gas with trying to reduce violent crime. That's always something that's going to attract some of our attention. We face the same challenges that every city faces around climate action and sustainability. But the big one for us, the big one that I see is, while the city has, I think, become much richer and more diverse as a result of all of the change that we've seen, we've also lost some tradition. So when we have a city that is majority people who've only lived here for less than 15 years, it becomes really hard to like to harken back to some other time, right? Everybody here is kind of new and doesn't know, like, we don't know each other. We don't know our institutions. It's just a lot of people who are all kind of like working a little bit for themselves and not necessarily as a block or as a neighborhood or as a full city. So the greatest headwind that we have right now is just trying to figure out a way to welcome more people into the life of the city, and for new arrivals, meet them not with indifference, but with welcome.
Yeah. And you've consistently talked about making the city Allentown for all. What does that phrase actually mean to you in practice? Tell me a little bit about how you draw people in.
Well, so I'll give you, so I said that the greatest headwind was making people feel welcome. So I'm a data guy. I look at the numbers a lot and try to understand how the numbers can show us where the problems are and show us where there's an opportunity to do better. So one thing that I saw is, I looked again at that number of new arrivals and the turnover that we see in Allentown. And I also looked and saw that, so there's approximately about 750 single family homes sold in Allentown every year. So let's say that's about 60 per month on average. And I thought, if I could go out and congratulate everybody who bought a house in Allentown and say, welcome to Allentown, I might be able to get them to stick, to feel like this is home forever. So that's what I started doing.
Wow.
I went out and I go and I knock on, this is like from political days, right? Like, as a politician, you knock on doors and you ask people to vote for you. Now I'm knocking on people's doors and I'm not asking for anything. I'm just saying, this is awesome. Congratulations. You bought a home in Allentown. I'm so excited for you. Welcome to the city. I want you to feel like you belong here. This is your city. And what can I do to help?
Wow.
Do you have any questions? Are there any inquietudes? Any preoccupations? Like, can I answer a question about trash night? Can I help you understand like parking regulations? Like, what can I do? What can the mayor's office do? What can the city of Allentown do to make you feel like you get it? Like you're an expert Allentonian.
That's incredible.
It is, and but it's achievable,
yeah.
Right? And that's what I really love about it. Now, I really could use more help. I need more people to help me do this. And when I say that, I don't mean I need more people to like knock on doors with me, but for me to be able to say, hey, if you are, interested in volunteering, here's a volunteer opportunity for you. If you're interested in getting involved in the arts community, I need our organizations to like give me basically like support, like stuff, like things that I can say to those neighbors, again, not asking, but letting them know, like, here's what we do.
Yeah. And I mean, take note, other mayors. Allentown for all, that's more than a slogan. That's a philosophy of governance, right? Your administration has emphasized regional collaboration and coalition building. What partnerships, whether with nonprofits, businesses, developers, schools, healthcare systems, or neighboring municipalities, have been most instrumental to the city's progress, do you think, right? That's a loaded question.
There's a ton. Well, and that's you go back to, so I'm a data guy, right? Like I look at the data, but I also, like another key kind of pillar for me of city leadership is partnerships and collaborating across boundaries. So we have strong collaborations within city government. I count on County Executive Siegel and Dr. Burks at the school district to help us out. We're kind of looking out for each other as the governments that serve Allentonians, whether through education or human services or the basic city services. For the investment in a place like Allentown in the downtown, we have the tremendous support of City Center as a developer, PPL as that strong anchor tenant in our downtown. ADP has been phenomenal. The entirety of the business community through like the Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce has really shown up for us. We also have strong connections to our nonprofit organizations. I have those roots with AEDC and LVEDC, but United Way has stepped up and been just a phenomenal partner whenever we've needed help with a particular challenge that the city government alone doesn't have the answers for. I've been able to go to United Way. We have in Allentown, we're blessed with incredible legislators. Senator Nick Miller, Senator Coleman, Representative Pete Schreier, Representative Mike Schlossberg, and Representative now Ana Tiburcio have all consistently shown up to support, to provide financial support to things that improve outcomes for our residents. So those have been huge. But one of the biggest for me in my own personal leadership that has helped the city has been philanthropic support from organizations around the country, specifically Bloomberg Philanthropies. I've been lucky enough to, a lot of what I talk about when I talk about data and collaboration and trying new things, that comes from a course that I took at the Bloomberg Harvard City Leadership Initiative. They have supported us through Youth Climate Action Fund, which has put funds into the hands of young people to make small investments that improve climate outcomes in Allentown. They've supported our work around data governance. They've supported our work around, we have a program called Love Your Block where we're following residents and letting residents take the lead on outcomes that improve their neighborhoods. So that's been huge, and that's been a result of me just like getting out and connecting with people across the country. But the big point is everybody's on board, right? When you say like this is Allentown for all, like people show up and they get involved. I'm probably leaving a bunch of people out, but
I know.
But needless to say, it really is like, this is not
all
me
hands
alone.
on deck.
It's me
all
saying
wheels going in the same direction.
Everybody's welcome.
It's an exciting time for the city. Leadership, though, looks very different from the inside than it does from the outside. What has been one of the hardest moments or biggest challenges you've faced as mayor, and how did you work through it?
When you are elected, you have like big plans. You have stuff that you say you want to do. You make campaign promises, and you sit down in the seat, and all of a sudden you realize that the priorities are very different or can be very different. One of the hardest challenges has been working to shift the culture a little bit at the city of Allentown. We have amazing, dedicated public servants. They're brilliant. They have like a deep institutional knowledge of how to serve, of what to do. I have been trying to shift a little bit to not just follow our guts, not just do govern by vibes, but to use data, to reach out and ask for help when we need help, to try new things. And the biggest challenge, I would say, is probably from my own perspective, where I want to do everything all at once. And I work with 900 phenomenal human beings that are they're doing everything that they can do to serve the residents of the city of Allentown, and I keep asking for more. And the challenge for me has been to balance asking people to do more with asking them to be healthy and to care about their lives. That shows up, and what they've done is people are they are rising to the occasion, and they're doing phenomenal things in the interest of our residents. They're trying new stuff. We have these speed cushions that we've been able to install to slow traffic down. I thought that there would be some resident blowback, because you see this in other cities around the country. But our residents, it's been quite the opposite. We can't keep up with the demand for improvements. I think that if that's one way of stating the challenge, is that we're doing good stuff all over the city, and we can't do it fast enough, right? That we're up against the clock. We're up against resource challenges. I want to make Allentown the slowest city in the country, which would make it the safest city in the country on our streets. And I don't have enough money, and I don't have enough time to do it all.
And if you had perhaps 30 seconds to spend with each of your people, and what would you want to communicate to those people that you're working alongside?
If you give me a full 30 seconds, I'd probably say more, but the core of it is that I deeply respect you and your passion and your care for these people in the city of Allentown that I love. And I just want to thank you for your work.
Yeah. What has leadership taught you about yourself over the past several years, and that you may not have fully understood before becoming mayor? You talked a little bit about that, but talk to me a little bit about, what leadership has taught you, because there's ebbs and flows, there's gives and, you have to give and take. Tell me a little bit about that.
So one thing that I think that a lot of people face, well, I don't know if a lot of people do. When I became mayor, when I ran for mayor, my career up to this point has all been very cognitive. Mm-hmm. It's always been about thinking through an idea or having a good plan or having a policy. What I learned about being mayor is that the head is really only part of the equation, mm-hmm. that it's mostly heart work, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. What I learned is that there's a whole emotional side to leadership. Mm-hmm. And it's not just working with employees, but particularly as the mayor, people are looking at you all the time, and they're looking at you to see how you're feeling, right? People ask me all the time, how's it going in Allentown? And I have to make sure that they understand that, and I try to be honest always, that we're doing great. Mm-hmm. That's where we are, and show up with that smile and that passion and that enthusiasm and that energy. I also have to talk to somebody who's sometimes had the worst day of their life and make sure that I'm there for them, and that the mayor is going to show up on those terrible moments and not just to celebrate. There's been some really incredibly emotional moments talking to somebody who just lost a child. Mm-hmm. Somebody who might have lost their home and doesn't have hope for the future. Somebody who is just struggling. And that is what leadership, particularly public service leadership, looks like, is being the one person who's going to reach out and give somebody a hug, if they're having that really, really, really bad time.
The human side of leadership and politics, for that matter. Your administration has placed major emphasis on safe streets, walkability, parks, public spaces, and neighborhood investment. Why are those quality of life issues so important to the future of the city?
I think those quality of life issues, and there's even more of them, they're not just important to the future of the city, but they're important to the future of this entire region. I know this from my time in economic development. People make decisions about where they want to be based on where they want to live first now. It's usually less about following a job or looking or going to where the jobs are. It's going to where you want to live first. And then you'll figure out the next part, right? Allentown's an entrepreneurial place. If we can create a city that feel of like great neighborhoods where people are able to like enjoy the parks or get, be able to walk to the downtown or go see a cool show at the Archer or have a great cup of coffee. A place where people want to live is crucial. And so it's Allentown's responsibility there is to build a city that people want to live in that anchors the region that people want to live in. So those are like, that's always going to be my priority. But even more than that, and I think this is another thing that people don't totally understand about Allentown, 25% of our population is under age 18. Mm. So a quarter of the people who live in the city of Allentown are youth. Mm. We should be building for youth. And young people can thrive if they can safely cross the street, if they've got a great park to play in, if there are recreational opportunities. All of that stuff is great for young people. And if we can build that city for young people, if we can build a city where they want to be and where they love and where they're proud to be on Allentonian, that's where there's no reason for them to leave at that point, mm-hmm. right?
Like, and future brand champions,
Absolutely. Well, future leaders as well,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I had a group of third graders yesterday, and for them to have an opportunity to talk to the mayor and hear the mayor say that you young people are the most important people on this great Allentown team. Like, we need to know what you want from your city. Like, that is empowering as hell for mm-hmm. them. And it fills me with hope.
Yeah. When you look at the momentum happening across Allentown today, what excites you most about the current chapter of the city's evolution insofar as it relates to what's next for Allentown? Like, what excites you the most?
I mean, there's so much to choose from. There's the ongoing investment in the downtown, the progress that we've made on safety, not just from violent crime, but street safety. We're invested in the skills that people need to get to good jobs through our Allentown Works program. We've got partnerships like Blue Zones that are helping people live longer, healthier lives in Allentown and across the Lehigh Valley. But the thing that excites me the most is those young people. And particularly that my leadership has been focused on engaging them and seeing them. And it's not just young people, it's that there are people across the city of Allentown who are starting to wake up to the idea that this is their government, mm-hmm. that they are part of the city, that it's not just a top-down, like us telling you what we're going to do to solve the problem. It's all of us together working with each other to address the challenges that we face. Mm-hmm. So when we, like the Love Your Block program that I was talking about before, that's us going out to the neighborhoods and empowering residents to make small improvements on their block that make it better for everybody. And the city will fund it through partnerships with Bloomberg, but ultimately it's a resident design, right? So the residents are designing it together with the city. Then we're building it together, and then we govern it together as well. Mm-hmm. And that piece, like, that's what gets me so excited, is that this is a city of people who have historically felt excluded, and now we're welcoming them in and asking them to be part of the change.
How do you define success at this point? And for residents listening tonight and for other leaders navigating uncertainty and rapid change, what advice or message would you want to leave them with?
That's a big question. I guess I would define success by saying that if we can start to increase the tenure of people living in Allentown, so that 10 years from now, I'm not saying that the majority of people in the city of Allentown have lived in the city for less than 10 years. Mm-hmm. Like, if we can start to get people to plant some real roots here, I think that would be success. The advice that I would give to other leaders is, I think one of the things that I'm best known for saying over the past few years is show up. Mm-hmm. Like, the best thing that you can do is just show up when things are terrible. If there's been If somebody's lost their life on the street in a car crash, show up, right? Don't get in the way of the police. Don't get in the way of the paramedics.
Just be there.
But show up.
Yeah.
When things are going great, show up. Like if there's to the block party, to the tree planting, to
The ribbon
whatever's
cutting.
happening,
Yeah,
just show up. Like
sure.
show up as much as possible. It's hard to be in a lot of places at once, but when you have a phenomenal team that allows you to show up. And then when you show up, don't just show up, cut the ribbon and jet. Like show up and engage. Like and like see people. Like when you have a conversation with somebody, don't be looking over their head and thinking about what your next thing is going to be. Like just spend like that real time. Be present. Be there in the moment. For city leaders in particular, that's what your leadership demands, is that you be there.
Yeah. What a thoughtful and powerful conversation with Mayor Matt Tuerk. What stands out most is that leadership in a city like Allentown isn't just about managing budgets or overseeing development projects. It's about vision, resilience, collaboration, and creating opportunities in ways that people can actually feel in their everyday lives. Mayor Tuerk's journey from economic development leader to the city's first Latino mayor reflects a deep belief in partnerships, innovation, and the idea that cities thrive when leaders bring people together instead of pulling them apart. And while challenges certainly remain, tonight's conversation makes one thing clear: Allentown is continuing to evolve, grow, and redefine what's possible for its future. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Trailblazers. I'm Melody Bradford, and we'll see you next time as we continue spotlighting the bold leaders, change makers, and visionaries shaping the future of our communities.